History is filled with wars, betrayals, and power struggles. But sometimes, a single moment of courage changes everything. This is the story of a royal decision that saved millions of lives, a moment when power was used not for destruction, but for humanity. In the year 1762, Europe stood on the edge of total collapse during the brutal conflict known as the 7 Years' War. It was a war that stretched across continents, from Europe to North America, from India to the Caribbean. Empires fought for dominance. Kingdoms burned. Millions suffered. The battlefield was soaked in blood, and the future looked dark. At the center of this storm stood one of Europe's most powerful rulers, Catherine the Great of Russia. When she rose to power after a dramatic coup, Russia was deeply involved in the war against Prussia, ruled by the determined and battle-hardened King Frederick the Great. Russian forces had already occupied parts of Prussia. Victory seemed certain. Prussia was on the brink of complete destruction. Frederick the Great was exhausted. His army was shattered. Supplies were gone. His allies had abandoned him. Many historians believe that without outside intervention, Prussia would have ceased to exist. Europe's balance of power would have completely changed. But then, something unexpected happened. Instead of crushing Prussia, Catherine made a shocking and controversial choice. She withdrew Russian troops from the battlefield. She ended hostilities. And in one of the most surprising diplomatic moves in European history, she made peace. This moment later became known as the miracle of the House of Brandenburg. What seemed like certain defeat turned into survival. Frederick the Great lived to fight another day. Prussia remained intact. And Europe avoided a potentially even larger and deadlier conflict. Why did Catherine make this decision? Some historians argue it was strategic. Russia was exhausted from years of war. The economy was strained. Soldiers were dying far from home. Others believe Catherine admired Frederick's leadership and wanted a stronger diplomatic relationship with Prussia. Whatever the reason, her decision was not driven by ego or blind ambition, but by political calculation and long-term vision. And the impact was massive. Had Russia continued the war, Prussia would likely have fallen. A new European superpower balance would have formed. This could have triggered further wars between Austria, France, and Britain. Instead, Catherine's decision stabilized the region and prevented what many believe could have been years of additional bloodshed. Millions of civilians across Europe were already suffering from famine, displacement, and disease caused by the war. Ending Russia's involvement shortened the conflict and reduced further devastation. While the war did not immediately end, the withdrawal shifted momentum and opened doors for peace negotiations. This was more than just a political move. It was a turning point in history. In leadership, there are moments when pride demands victory, but wisdom demands restraint. Catherine chose restraint. She chose stability over revenge. She chose diplomacy over domination. And that is why this story matters. Because true power is not always about conquering enemies. Sometimes, true power is knowing when to stop. Imagine if she had chosen differently. Imagine a Europe reshaped by total Prussian collapse. The future of Germany, the rise of future empires, even the political landscape leading into the 19th century, all could have changed dramatically. The ripple effect might have altered the course of global history. One decision. One ruler. Millions of lives indirectly spared from further war and destruction. History often celebrates warriors who win battles. But sometimes, the greatest heroes are those who prevent them. The lesson from this royal decision is clear. Leadership is not measured by how many enemies you destroy, but by how many lives you protect. In a world still filled with conflict, this story reminds us that peace is not weakness, it is courage. And sometimes the most powerful weapon a ruler can wield is mercy.